we're looking at a full body transformation focus, not just putting on muscle or improving physique, but we want to look at the internal workings of the body and make sure that we're actually addressing the root underlying cause, not just the external, the muscles or things like that. You can work your muscles, do these hard exercises, hard charging, you're just, busting it. But then if you're doing that every single day, 7 days a week, and you don't take some time to really let your body rejuvenate and recover, you're going to experience a lot of plateaus that way as well. You've seen the commercial with the Staples button. You can hit the easy button. I feel like peptides are kind of that way. Maybe it's not like done for you, but man, it makes going to the gym way easier when you're recovering faster and you have the energy and the cognitive function to really just want to go and bust it out. Welcome to the Ageless Future Podcast. This is your host tonight, Cade Archibald, and we're going to dive into some really cool stuff today. The last few weeks, we have been going through muscle, how to build muscle, how to recover better, covering peptides around that topic, around this concept of building muscle as you age, which is really cool. I think, as you get older, as your body gets exposed to more stuff, it's harder and harder to stay on top of that. But if you build discipline and build structure around it, and you find different ways to have breakthroughs, it can be so impactful. Building muscle long-term as you get into your later and later years has been shown to make significant changes in your health and longevity and just resiliency. And you look pretty cool. When I see guys in their 60s, 70s that are all muscular, that are still lifting weights, that is really encouraging, and I love to see that. And that's my goal. So the thing is if you're looking at someone, a lot in the future from you, and you're thinking you want to be able to do that when you're their age, you better be doing that and a lot more at your current age. So that's where figuring out what it is you want to accomplish, and we're here to help you do that here at EastWest Health to come up with what those long-term health goals look like and what your next 10 years is. Because we want to make your next 10 years your best. And so today we're going to jump into how to use peptides to break plateaus. So essentially from stuck to strong. So the question I'd ask is, have you ever been going to the gym or doing things that typically have worked in the past for your health, but you just don't feel like you're hitting any gains? Maybe you've set some goals and you just kind of plateaued. You haven't quite measured up to where you wanted to be as far as your health goals go. And so if you're not currently utilizing peptides and taking peptides, I know a lot of you on here today are Ageless Future members. But if you're not, if you're listening to this or watching us on YouTube, this is where really considering some other ways, some other hacks, which would be, utilizing peptides to help break plateaus, be just a massive opportunity here for you. Why plateaus happen, whether, typically we're talking more on the muscle building and in the gym, but it's normal to get stuck in the fitness progress. It's very common. It's not, if you ever experienced that, you're not alone. Many of us do. Can be stress, age, and not taking care of yourself, poor recovery, lack of growth signals. Those are all common causes. Not actually having a system and building consistent habits can absolutely create that. If you're just kind of going randomly, you're definitely going to see a lot more plateaus that way, as opposed to having like a a real structured plan. But at the same time, if you're doing the same thing over and over, same exact workout, same regimen, that's where you're also going to experience some plateaus long term as well. And then peptides can obviously help you move the needle again. But if you're using the same peptides over and over, and that's where here at EastWest, we really do, customize and personalize these different peptide stacks to help reduce and eliminate plateaus. So you're just consistently growing and improving. And so those are some key factors on, why plateaus happen, but also some different ways. We're going to jump into some different ways on how you can kind of bypass that. So let's look at some different muscle builders. So you've heard us talk a lot about peptides like CJC-1295, Tesamorelin, Ipamorelin. There's Musclegrowth, Hexarelin. These are growth hormone releasing peptides. So they increase your growth hormone naturally. And there's another peptide, IGF-1 LR3. This drives muscle cell growth specifically. And so it's helping increase muscle growth, which is amazing. And then, looking when you're stacking these peptides, looking at how you're stacking them as well as the timing. There's certain times that you can utilize. And I went through that a lot more in detail in the last episode, but we'll talk briefly about that here. But these growth hormone releasing peptides can be super impactful, as well as getting some recovery peptides too. So like your recovery peptides, you're looking at BPC, thymosin beta 4. That's probably one of my favorites from a recovery standpoint. Like you can reduce your soreness, increase your recovery times, just like so much better. And so that allows you to lift a little bit more and stretch your gains. And so that's where you can kind of get past that plateau, get some additional movement on how much you're lifting, what you're lifting, and what your capacity is. So, and we're not just talking about like lifting weights too. This could be how long you're able to run sustainably or sprinting, and like just having better endurance or better capacity on that. Because if you're not doing it right now, I know Reagan's talked on a few different podcasts ago on sprinting. That's I've been doing at least once a week a workout where I'm doing 5 to 8 40-yard sprints, just all out sprint. I love it. I like that a lot better than running long distance. And there's actually studies show you have to run. I can't remember the exact number that Reagan gave me, but it's multiple miles to equate to the same as like a 40-yard sprint. If you're jogging versus a sprint, because you just work every muscle in your body when you're sprinting. So just so we're all on the same page, I'm not only talking lifting weights here. This is, any exercise, any movement that you're doing, if you can add in the right kind of ingredients in your body that helps increase healing and mechanism there. So just like what we talked about last week or last episode on proteins, making sure you got adequate amount of proteins on the nutrition side, the right exercise, and then we really just amplified the results with some of these growth hormone peptides. Study here. This is a 50-year-old male, just got stuck in the gym, was not making any gains. It was pretty flat for about 6 months. No improvements. Started taking some growth hormone releasing peptides. And this is really common that we'll see just kind of the layman, just anyone out there, do a little research, find a peptide and get some quick gains over 3 months from just doing some CJC-1295, Ipamorelin, added in IGF-1 LR3 3 times a week. In 3 months, gains 6 pounds of muscle, loses 5% body fat. He's got better energy, improved sleep, much better libido, feeling strong, right? The challenge here is that same stack may not be the best thing to do for the next 3 months, right? And so it's always a good plan to kind of alternate those. There's lots of gentlemen in that same category, kind of age range that I've met with that will still be on that same CJC Ipamorelin stack, which We use a couple different stacks a lot more recently. Tesamorelin, Ipamorelin, Musclegrowth, Hexarelin. Those are all super effective at increasing growth hormone releasing peptide, and maybe definitely a little safer too. So, but that it can be a big plateau buster, which is nice. Some of the key players here with the peptides we're talking about, you have CJC, 1295, and Ipamorelin. That's triggering your growth hormone. Your IGF-1 and LR3 promotes lean muscle growth. Tesamorelin. Tesamorelin is a growth hormone releasing peptide, but also targets your belly fat. Lipodystrophy is like one of it's been an FDA approved drug to treat that because it helps reduce belly fat. So can be awesome for that. And then supporting on the recovery side, joints, ligaments, you got BPC 157. And then you can also add in thymosin beta 4 for more the muscle recovery and reducing in a delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS. How these all work together. So your growth hormone peptides, they provide a nice boost to nighttime recovery and fat burning. Your IGF-1 works best after workouts. So, right after a workout, you can add in some IGF-1. That's going to give you a little growth spark in your muscles. So really help them kind of grow and get more robust. And the BPC is going to help with more joints, ligaments. So especially after lifting some heavy weights, BPC can be super helpful and impactful to just help your body heal up faster. Think of, Wolverine. So BPC is like the Wolverine peptide. So, think about it. When he's taking bullets, you can peel them out. That's what you're doing when you take some BPC after a good workout. Maybe not that extreme, but you get the picture. And some other questions that have come up. Why not just take human growth hormone instead of like the peptide? Talk to a lot of people that are just doing HGH or a human growth hormone. It can be awesome. They feel great. They see all these different benefits short-term wise. Some of the downsides with HGH can disrupt your natural hormone balance. So if you're just putting in that hormone into your body, that reduces your body's ability to create it itself. And so you can kind of disrupt that balance. So that's one thing to look at. It can, there's things that it can, there's a lot of different nuances with the HGH that you want to look out for. Peptides are going to be a lot safer because what it's doing is it's just sending signals and telling your body what it needs so that it opens up a pathway so your body starts creating that growth hormone, as opposed to us just injecting growth hormone in our body, not having to do anything. That it's a big shortcut, and you're going to kind of handicap your body's growth hormone production. It's just peptides are going to be better for overall longevity. So you look at some of the differences here with peptides and HGH. Your peptides are stimulating natural growth hormone production through different pathways. They're not suppressing your pituitary or anything there, versus HGH is going to suppress some of the pituitary function. It raises IGF-1 synthetically or exogenously, meaning externally it's increasing that hormone. It's more of a short-term approach. If someone's got some human growth hormone deficiencies, things like that, sometimes it can be a nice bridge to get things back in normalcy, or sometimes it can be really beneficial to just have long-term if there's some different conditions and diseases where people aren't producing HGH, and maybe that's a decent one. But with peptides, you're creating all these different things naturally, like even your IGF, it's opening up that pathway to create it more naturally. So it's safer, more long-term natural approach with peptides. So let's talk a little bit about how you're going to utilize these peptides to break through these plateaus. So, this is where timing and rest days are really critical. So with your growth hormone releasing peptides, You want to go, typically we'd say go 5 days on and 2 days off. Take a break. You always want to kind of give that growth hormone pathway a break. And so we don't want to be on the same growth hormone releasing peptide for, extended amounts of time. That's why we want to be able to cycle those on and off. You go 5 days on, 2 days off. Can be really effective, most effective when it's paired with strength training and clean nutrition, good quality proteins from grass-fed clean sources, and, really good organic food, no heavy metals, toxins, pesticides, things like that. And then, for ideal outcomes, work with a trained provider to really customize your protocol. So what we do is, we look at your labs, and what a really good provider would do is they're going to run some really comprehensive blood labs and maybe some other labs, create a personalized protocol based on what your lab results show, maybe some different symptoms, as well as what your goals are, and then get the right coaching, right nutrition setup. Maybe we have a fitness app where we'll dial in a specific fitness program for you. So those of you in a program, if you haven't met with Nikki Bott, she's our fitness director, amazing. She'll help design a workout regimen for you, and then you can actually track it and check it off in your EastWest Health app. So really cool. And we're looking at a full body transformation focus, not just putting on muscle or improving physique, but we want to look at the internal workings of the body and make sure that we're actually addressing the root underlying cause, not just the external, the muscles or things like that. But we know if we're putting on muscle and we're working on some of those underlying internal workings of the body, and we're going to make some huge strides and huge impacts. And so when it comes to some of these workouts, make sure that with your peptides, you got the right stimulus, you're working on those muscles, getting in some progressive overload, some good proteins, and then recovery is huge. So, you can work your muscles, do these hard exercises, hard charging, you're just, busting it. But then if you're doing that every single day, 7 days a week, and you don't take some time to really let your body rejuvenate and recover, you're going to experience a lot of plateaus that way as well. So it's really critical to have some specific designed recovery days. You can still, do some different light exercises on those days, but it's also really critical to get some recovery. So, your other peptides like thymosin beta 4 or TB500, BPC 157 can help speed up the recovery. But then just as important is getting the right amount of sleep and good deep sleep, good quality sleep, the right hydration, getting some downtime and relaxation, like get some ice baths, do some hot cold exposure, and maybe get a massage, some acupuncture, and then the right electrolytes, really, really critical as well. And then get adequate amounts of protein. So if you're doing a lot of exercise, movement, muscle building, but you're not putting in enough protein, you're not going to be fueling your muscles to really produce some growth. You're going to run into plateaus more and more. So some ways we've seen this be really just huge impacts with clients. This is a DEXA scan. We had one of our clients over 6 months went from 29% body fat to 16%, gained 9 pounds of lean mass, muscle mass, dropped 5 inches in his waist. Use some of these growth hormone peptides. I wouldn't say, hey, that's the recipe to get there. There was also a lot of other specific things that this individual did to accomplish these results. But we look at peptides are this like secret weapon that can help boost outcomes, make it a little easier. You've seen the commercial with the Staples button. You can hit the easy button. I feel like peptides are kind of that way. Maybe it's not like done for you, but man, it makes going to the gym way, way easier when you're recovering faster and you have the energy and the cognitive function to really just want to go and bust it out. It makes it more enjoyable when you start noticing my physique is getting better. I don't have this like little sugar eating gremlin on my shoulder constantly asking for, whatever it is that dirty food craving you have. It's nice when you can get that fuzz out of your head and be focused on what you want to focus on and what helps you contribute the most to your life as well as enjoy your life. And so that's where peptides can just be massively helpful. Some additional studies and research around some of these growth hormone releasing peptides really help increase growth hormone. And then your Tesamorelin study there on how it reduces visceral fat. That's a lot of fat around the organs can be massively impactful, very, very big. And so kind of the best way, if you're experiencing some plateaus right now, if first of all, if you're in an EastWest or Ageless Future program, reach out, make sure you have a strategy session set up with your provider, and let's figure that out and let's get to the next level. If not, let's get a health span assessment or a strategy session set up. Reach out to us, get some labs, and actually figure out what the best next step is, and then let's get you a muscle building blueprint to really get results, get over that plateau. Don't stay stuck. You can always get past those different plateaus. We find that peptides, one of the most powerful tools when they're used right, they're stacked accordingly, man, it can just help improve, get past those plateaus, improve your muscle gains and your wins in the gym. So challenge this week, some questions I want to pose. So, first is kind of let's write down where you feel stuck and then come up with what your health goal is. So on this, think about what proactive tests you're currently doing consistently to improve your health. And tests could be, maybe you're testing your sprint distance, maybe you're testing your blood or your stool, some more diagnostic tests, but this could also be more just assessment based on yourself. You could test your grip strength, and then let's look into the future and think what lifestyle will you create with your healthiest next decade? So what do you want to bring with you into your future of some of those habits? So think about, regardless of how old you are today, think about, what your age is going to be in 10 years from now. What do you want to be able to do in 10 years that maybe you're doing okay at now and you want to be better? Or maybe you're not doing it at all. And think of what that is, and then let's set a goal to actually get there. And that means today you got to start doing that action, which that's the hard part, right? Is actually making the decision and running with whatever that thing is. Because we believe when health improves, everything improves. And so think about, the last question here we have is what in your life would improve the most with increased health? And so, imagine yourself with optimal health. You got the best mind, cognitive abilities. You can think clearly. Your digestive system takes the nutrition that you eat, the food that you take. It fuels your muscles, it fuels your body, and you just feel extremely vital every single day. You wake up fully rested, and that is how you feel. And so if you're already there, great. Still set a goal, still set challenges. You have to consistently work towards that, because otherwise you'll start falling back. And if you're not there, which I would expect a lot of us aren't. And so let's think about, what are some of those negative things you're doing health-wise that you can erase, those bad habits, and just replace it with one good one or one better one. Doesn't have to be the best. If you're not currently exercising, one of the best ways I was able to find myself to get in the habit of doing exercising every single day is I had a rule for myself, and this went on. I'm on year 3 of it now. I'm like, if I do my normal, workout, which typically I don't do this, but typically it was 50 push-ups a day. That was my rule, is I would wake up and bust out 50 push-ups, because I knew if I didn't get a chance to make it to the gym, at least I got my push-ups in. Now, some of you, that could be modified push-ups. If you're just, starting to exercise, you can start with 25, like just start somewhere, start with 10 and then work up, but get that habit, just small habit. If 10's too much, do 5 and then work up. Like, it can be very small, but if you start small and start building that habit, and then you add in, okay, I can do 5. Now I can do 10. Now I can do 20. And you just consistently push yourself a little bit further, not to the point of disaster, but or devastation, but you can push yourself to really grow. And it's amazing at how the body adapts. And you can do that at any age. You can be, listening to this, if you're 5 years old or if you're 95 years old, it really doesn't matter. You can always be striving and working. And so that's a challenge today. Love you guys. Hope you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Thanks for joining me. If you were here live, have a great evening. We'll see everybody. And if you feel like this message is useful and could be beneficial to any of your friends, family, loved ones, please share this message with them. Share this podcast or this YouTube video. We love helping people achieve their health potential. And I believe if you have better health, then everything improves with better health. So have a great one.